Hey, what's happening everyone? I am Sir James from Gamerfuzion.com, and today I'm here to give you my review on the Nintendo 3DS exclusive known as Etrian Mystery Dungeon. And in this game, you are an adventurer who stumbles upon the small village by the name Aslarga, which is a key location where many adventurers come from long distances seeking fame and fortune within the game's Mystery Dungeon. Now, going over the graphics, visually the game looks really good on the Nintendo 3DS system. Just everything about this game, from the opening scene, character, creature, level design, and so forth, is really bright, colorful, and ultra crisp, especially when you're using the 3D effect, which is really good for this title. But overall, I was pleased of how the visuals looked, and it's something that many players are going to enjoy as they spend many hours within the game's dungeons. Now, going over the gameplay is really simple to understand. When you first start off the game, you are greeted with a character customization, which is pretty much bare bones basic, but at the same time pretty cool because you get to choose from a wide variety of different character types. Do you want to be a ninja, a warrior, a sorcerer, the medic? Again, the game offers a wide variety of different classes to choose from, and as you continue on your adventure, you end up finding more different factions to choose from further on, which is quite nice. And of course, from there you could choose your hair color. Not so much of a facial features. You do get to choose what kind of character art you want to use, and of course, after that, you get to create your own guild, and then from there you can choose to either use the online functions or not to. And with the guild online functions, basically the two that you have here is that you can choose to use the street pass option, and every time you pass by someone who also has the game, you'll be trading guild cards. And basically how this works is that when you're trading guild cards, that person has to be either the same level or less than you for you to add them into your own guild and use them into battle, which is quite nice. Or my other personal favorite, which makes it nice to connect with the people within the gaming community, is that you could generate an AR card, and then from there you're going to have to transfer the image from your SD card onto your computer, and from there you can trade it with other people within the community, post it publicly, or trade it with your cousin who lives in another state. That way you could always connect with each other knowing that you have your cousin fighting side by side with you, or even your friend. So pretty much the whole purpose of the game is the Mystery Dungeon. The Mystery Dungeon contains, well, pretty much a mystery. You never know what you're going to run into. You never know what items you're going to find. And best of all, every time you go back and forth between these dungeons, it's always changing. It's changing its shape, changing its locations, changing the loot. You never know what you're going to find. And of course, at times you are even greeted with a boss fight, which features some really epic music. But overall, the game is really exciting, and the controls are pretty much the same. It's basically a turn-based strategy game where you take an action and then enemy takes an action, and as I stated, as part of the options, you can choose to have the AI control your other companions in your party, or you can choose to control that individually by yourself. But usually, oftentimes, it's nice to have the AI take control of them because you never know the situation, but sometimes it can get a little bit of frustration. And then from there, when you're back in town, you can choose to buy new equipment, store your gear, because one of the things about this game is that if you happen to die in the dungeon, is that you could lose your loot. So everything that you've acquired, your armor or weapons, you have a chance to lose all that, which is not a good thing, especially if you stacked up. So you do have the option to store your gear. You could even send a rescue party to retrieve your equipment and members and things like that. Just everything about this is really enjoyable, but at the same time, the game is a bit grindy because it does take a long time to level up your characters, and each character, depending on what kind of class they are, such as a warrior or sorcerer, they do have a wide variety of different skills to choose from, and each skill tree is locked once they reach a specific level. For example, you may have a character that can only learn this set of skills at level 5, and then they have a new branching set of skills once they reach level 10. But overall, pretty much the whole concept here is entering the dungeons, finding all kinds of loot, going back and forth, leveling up your characters, grinding, and then from there in going back and forth trying to level up, and as you make your way further and further into the more variations of the dungeons that you visit. As for the sound portion of the game, unfortunately the game doesn't have any type of voice acting, which is a little bit of a shame because I thought it worked out for the title, but instead you are greeted with a fantastic soundtrack from your experience every time you're back in the town, visiting the dungeons. And of course, my personal favorite is when you hop into a boss fight, you have an entirely different soundtrack that kicks in. That definitely puts you in the right mood. But overall, the soundtrack for this title was definitely fantastic to listen to and something that many people will enjoy. Now going over the game's lifespan, to me this game has a really good lifespan due to the fact that it offers great replay value, and one of the main concepts here is the dungeon system that this game has to offer. Even every time you go back to a dungeon that you just visited, you're going to find that everything was rotated and it's not the same as it was before, because it's constantly generating new areas, new items that appear, and it's all about going into these dungeons and finding that loot, because it's all about grinding your character, finding the loot, and of course the online community where you can trade your AR cards or scan other AR cards to add people within your guild. All this functionality right here definitely offers many hours of enjoyment, and of course there is an option for downloadable content which you can get new characters, but it got me thinking, is like, what if they use this concept here to add more dungeons to what's already offered in the game? If they do something like that, then overall this game could have a huge lifespan at the end of the year. Now going over the innovation, was there anything new here? Was this something that we already seen before? When the first trailer came out for this game, most people were comparing this to Pokemon Mystery Dungeon. Unfortunately, since I never played that title, I can't really make that direct comparison with it. But overall, for the type of games I played, this is the first time I played a Mystery Dungeon style game, and I really like the concept here of grinding out your characters, trying to find the loot, and of course with the online portion and so forth, just everything about this game was really enjoyable. But in the end, I'm going to be giving this game a 9 out of 10. Really fun, definitely a nice way to kind of get together with some of your friends. But until then, I am Sir James from Gamerfuzion.com, where we empower your gaming.